Welcome to the Green Hat Local SEO Podcast, where Kyle Sabra delivers hard-hitting, actionable tips and strategies to help business owners dominate their local market and crush the competition. Kyle's no-holds-barred approach cuts through the noise of traditional SEO, focusing on battle-tested tactics that deliver real results. He's here to arm you with the tools you need to skyrocket your rankings, generate more leads, and grow your business online. If you're tired of hearing the same old SEO nonsense and want to learn the truth, this is the podcast for you. Get ready to put on your green hats and learn SEO secrets the other guys can't handle. Now, here's your host, Kyle Sabra.
Hi, this is Kyle Sabra from the Green Hat Local SEO Podcast, and in this episode I want to talk about something that I think has an outsized importance in most people's SEO campaigns, and honestly, the only people who care so much about this are business owners who don't know much about SEO, SEOs who really shouldn't be doing SEO, and software engineers, and that is technical SEO. So, I've been talking to a lot of people lately, asking me why their website isn't ranking, why their geogrids aren't green, why their GPP isn't ranking. And when we get to talking, they're like, "Oh yeah, and I'm fixing my technical SEO," and I think that's the issue. And I ask them, "Well, what about technical SEO do you think is the problem?" And they say, "Oh, it's my page speed," or "Oh, my images aren't optimized," or "Oh, Yoast told me to do this." And most of that really is just bullshit. And I think a lot of the problems and a lot of the reasons people focus on technical SEO is because it's something that's easy to understand. And frankly, it's something that SEOs who really aren't that skilled spend a lot of time on because it is something easy to understand. It provides quickly, seeable results. You can plug your website into PageSpeed insights before and after, and you can say, "Oh, I got you to 99. Now your SEO is going to be great." And really, that's not it. This is a very small part of SEO. And like I said, really the only people who spend an inordinate amount of time on this are business owners who really don't know what they're doing, who, like I said, see page speed and understand it and think that, oh, if I do this, then Google's going to reward me. SEOs who really don't have an understanding of SEO and do page speed optimizations for the same thing, or software engineers, just because that's really what they understand, right? And technical SEO, like I said, is a very, very, very small part of what you should be focusing on. It's probably one of the last things that you need to be focusing on if you're using something like WordPress or Duda or Webflow. For most of for most websites using one of the major CMSs, again, like WordPress or Webflow or Duda, the technical SEO is mostly already taken care of for you. And Webflow and Duda particularly are faster than WordPress 9 times out of 10. WordPress does tend to get slow because a lot of people use way too many plugins. If you're using more than a dozen plugins, then you've got to rebuild your site because there's no reason you should be using more than that. And plugins do slow down a site. But really, Google doesn't have some sort of threshold to where if your page speed isn't this fast, then they're going to demote you. It's really, you just have to be as fast or faster than your competition. And with most people out there using WordPress, we're all playing with the same plugins. We're all playing with the same page builders. So page speed is going to be about where on par with each other, right? And again, page speed is such a small ranking factor that even if you do decide to be faster than competitors, you don't really need to put a whole lot of time into it. Really, using something like WP Rocket is going to make you faster than your competition. And two, there are a lot of other more impactful things that you could be doing, like on-page optimizations. You could be doing backlinks. You could be doing press releases. Anything like that really is more is going to move the needle more than page speed. So with page speed, like I said, if you're using WordPress especially, a lot of the things that are going to slow you down are using way too many plugins or using a page builder like, unfortunately, Elementor, which I love, but it can slow down a site. And like I said, it's not really like Google has a threshold to where you need to be, your page needs to be loading in 7 seconds or less to get first page rankings or to get into the map pack. It's more of, are you as fast or faster than your competitors? And are you providing a good enough page experience that users aren't going to bounce. And the other issue that I see people doing is relying on page speed insights. So the page speed insight score really is what we call a lab score. It doesn't measure real user experience. So what you'll see also is something called CRUX, CRUX, which stands for Chrome Real User Experience. Page speed is just measuring like the textbook page speed of a site. It is not anything that Google takes into consideration when deciding if your quote unquote tech SEO is good or not. And if any SEO comes to you and says, "Oh, I'm going to get you 99 on your page speed," then fucking run, because they don't know what the fuck they're doing, and they're just trying to sell you some bullshit because again they don't know how to do SEO, and this is something that's easy for unsuspecting business owners to understand, and they're going to put in a few plugins, maybe compress a few images, and then get you 99, and you're not going to see dick in your rankings because Google doesn't care about that, right? So if you really want to worry about technical SEO, don't fuck around with page speed unless your website is slow as molasses and it's affecting your user experience, right? Really, with tech SEO, there are other things that you could be worried about. There are things that I see where people will use something like HostGator or their friend's server, and their what's called TTFB, their time to first byte, is like 8 seconds, right? Which means that whenever Google calls the server, it takes that long to get the files returned to them. Now, this is something that Google does take a look at, is your server speed. So we've done tests, and if your time to first byte, your TTFB, your server speed essentially is 8 seconds or less, Google just fucking lays down the band hammer and gives you a -50 demotion, right? So instead of worrying about if your images are fast enough, or if you get some dickhead from Reddit or whatever saying he can get you to 99 on PageSpeed Insights, look at your server and make sure that your server is fast enough. The other thing that you should be looking at if you really want to do tech SEO instead of page speed is look at how your site is being rendered. So this really doesn't affect, again, WordPress sites. It's more if you have a site that is built for you. So one thing that Google still has a lot of trouble with is JavaScript. And what JavaScript does is it will actually render content on what's called client side rather than server side. So what Google does is it will actually crawl a server looking for files and seeing what's in the files to see what the website is about, what content is on there, things like that. With JavaScript, with certain flavors of JavaScript, it renders things client side, which means it's not actually on the server. Google isn't going to see it. It's only going to be something that the user is going to see. And there was a big push a few years ago for websites to be built in like React, essentially making them single page websites. I'm sure you've seen them, to where you click a button or whatever, and instead of leading you to a different page, everything just gets reloaded again on that one page. And Google is not seeing any of that content because it's rendered with JavaScript, right? Because none of that is actually on the server. So if you have a website that's been custom built for you that makes heavy use of JavaScript to render content, you're fucked because Google's not going to see it. And in fact, um, if Google doesn't see it, then it's just going to assume that you have no content on the site. And I've actually taken oversights and I've shown them what Google sees. I've shown them the text only cache, and there's been no text on the page at all, and they couldn't figure out why they were ranking. It's because they got their site built. Somebody told them about how super fast the site was going to be because page speed is so important, which we already covered is fucking not. And the flip side of that was that, yeah, page speed was super fast, but Google couldn't read any of the content on the site. So since it looked like the site was completely blank, of course Google wasn't going to rank it. And that's all because of the JavaScript that they were using. So again, this doesn't really affect you if you're using most page builders. Um, but if you have a site that's been custom built for you and a lot of this stuff is being rendered by JavaScript, you got to make sure that Google can see it. What you should be doing is running it through prerender.io to make sure that Google is actually going to be seeing the content on there. So that's really one of the biggest things that I see with technical SEO. It's not page speed. Again, do not worry about page speed. Just got to be as fast or faster than your competitors. And even then, Google's not going to demote you if you're not as fast as your competition, right? really it's just, are you providing the same experience as your competition is, and are you providing a good enough experience that people don't want to just immediately bounce? A bigger issue with technical SEO is how fast is your server? Can Google actually crawl the server quickly, efficiently, and get the files it needs? And can Google read the content on your site, right? Can Google actually read your site, see what content is on there on the server, which means you can't be loading your content via JavaScript. And really, the last thing that I see with technical SEO, well, two things really. One is if you have your links loaded via JavaScript with what's called on-click actions, Google can't follow those. So if you have your links on your page with on-click actions rather than with the Ahrefs HTML code on there, Google's not following those links because, again, that's JavaScript. And this is something I see more with custom-built sites where somebody wants as fast of a site as possible. So they have their content they have their pages done with on-click actions rather than Ahrefs links, and yeah, Google can't follow those. So now Google can't crawl the rest of the pages of your site, and all this money you paid for all these pages just went down the drain because Google can't even find them. And I might have talked earlier about how you can actually hide content in accordions, and Google will read it. If you need to write 3,000 words, 4,000 words on a page, and that's going to mess up your conversions, you can put those into accordions. Well, again, for some plugins in WordPress and for a lot of custom-built sites, I'll actually hide these accordions, again, in JavaScript, which means, again, Google cannot read them. So if anything is going to be loaded via JavaScript, Google is not going to see it, basically. One misconception that I see out there, again, with PageSpeed, I don't know why people keep fucking harping on this, but is Google Tag Manager going to slow down the site? And it will, to a very minuscule degree, but not to a point to where Google's really going to notice. That's like saying, is one can of soda per month going to make me gain weight? Maybe if you're not doing anything else, but also one can of soda a month is really not going to hurt you in the long run, right? And in fact, Google Tag Manager is a great way to deploy things like Google Analytics scripts, CallRail, things like that. So the benefits of that outweigh whatever small page decreases might happen, right? So really, if you're worried about technical SEO and you're using WordPress and you're not using more than like a dozen plugins and you're not competing for something super, super competitive, like, you're not going after breaking news terms or anything like that, your technical SEO is fine. Don't worry about it. If somebody comes up to you and says, oh, I'm going to get you a 99 page speed and it's going to help your SEO, fucking run, because they're just scamming you out of $100 or whatever it is that they're charging, because Google really does not give a shit if your page speed insight score is 99. If you want a better idea of what your page speed is, then go to webpagetest.org, and that's going to give you it's going to give you your raw page speed. It's also going to break it down into the core web vitals that Google's looking for. It's the core web vitals that you need to be focusing on if you've already done everything else and you're still not ranking. All of this page speed bullshit should be done after your keyword research. It should be done after your content, after your site build. Well, during your site build, yeah, make sure you're not doing, you're not adding in 20, 25 plugins. But after your content, after your links, and if you still cannot rank, then take a look at your technical SEO, because page speed is such a small part of that. It really does not matter. And again, the only people who really focus on page speed are ones who do not understand SEO, or ones who are trying to scam other people who do not understand about SEO. Other than that, there's really no reason to focus on it too much, because there are a lot of other things that are going to move the needle a lot more than page speed. So that's about it for this episode of the Green Hat Local SEO Podcast. If you stayed with me through all my rants, don't forget to check us out, ghls.io, if you want free until you rank SEO, and join our free Facebook group. Just search for the Green Hat Local SEO group on Facebook, and you'll see us there. That's where we're active. That's where I go in there, answer questions, and I give tips and advice. And it's a great place to just learn about local SEO and learn about all the bullshit that the white hats don't want you to know about. So that's about it for this episode, and I'll talk to you guys later.